Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Spring Band Concert. We're really delighted to be here. Thank you. We have some amazing musicians to showcase tonight, and all three groups, starting with our advanced jazz ensemble here. Second will be our jazz big band, and third will be the concert band, who have prepared some very challenging and interesting music. And without further ado, I am going to turn it over to the jazz ensemble so they can do their thing for you.
Hey everyone. Hello. There's a switch. Hello. We're the Pleasant High School Advanced Jazz Ensemble. We got some awesome tunes here for you tonight. We're gonna kick things off with an Oscar Hammerstein tune of Broadway fame. It's called All the Things You Are.
as you are, as Colin said. We're going to continue with the song. Are we going to get an intro from Alex? Would you like to introduce the song?
Yeah, so we'll be playing a song called Lamona by Weather Report, which features the bass player Jaco Pastorius. So instead it will be featuring me.
And there you go. All right. I would like to add a little bit to that. Yes, this is called Havona by Jaco Pastorius, who is widely regarded as one of the greatest bass players of all time, an influential bass player from jazz to jazz fusion, funk, rock, really multiple styles. He was a prolific composer and bass player, and this song is an extremely challenging piece for our bassist, Alex Arbucci, who is a graduating senior. He is, well, we have 3 seniors in the band who I'd like to recognize: Alex, Colin on trumpet, and Seb on trombone. And we also have Brandon Ramon on the sax, who's also graduated. These guys have been amazing, multi-instrumentalists, some of them, and just leading the charge here as our jazz and music ambassadors. And Alex is the only member of this group that's been a member of this group for 4 years standing since he was a freshman. So we're gonna let Alex do his thing along with the rest of the band, and here is Havona.
Up next, we have a song that's spelled backwards. It's called Nigeria. This song is by Sonny Rollins, who famously, every day for 3 years, would play for over 12 hours on the Williamsburg Bridge for the public. This song is Origin. Thank you.
best place to hear is from the audience, and that's where I was. So, once again, the Advanced Jazz Ensemble, Ben, Sebastian, Jacob, Brandon, Colin, Sarah, Zoe on the keyboard, Matt and Amir on the guitars, Alex on the drum, on the bass, and Ojara on the drums. Thank you so much. We are going to have the ensemble go off stage for a second, and we'll be back with the big band. 1 second. So while we're getting set up, just wanted to let you know, for those of us that may not have been involved or there, the jazz ensemble and the big band performed last Friday at Sleepy Hollow High School, hosted a jazz fest. We went during the day, we performed. Several schools from Westchester and beyond all performed for 3 professional musicians who adjudicated our performance and gave a little clinic for us. It was a really great day. The ensemble performed at night at the concert. They also had a concert. It was a great afternoon and evening. This band, we won an award at the event. We won. Yep. And the award was for Best Trombone Section. So, it was not a competition per se, but they do hand out some awards for some outstanding playing. And also, we had an honorable mention for Best Soloist, and that went to Ben Belknap on the trombone back there. We have some great music for you. The big band's going to play 3 songs. The first song is going to be a Dizzy Gillespie composition, A Night in Tunisia.
composer, his name is Jeff Jarvis. This is called Off the Boat. Jarvis. And this one, you may know the song as the theme song of the Harlem Globetrotters. It is a jazz standard in its own right, and this arrangement comes from Count Basie and his album entitled Prime Time. This is Sweet Georgia Brown.
Sweet Georgia Brown, Tyra Matsumoto on the baritone sax. Of course, we have Brian Shire on the piano. Did I miss anybody on that one? I think so, okay. Jazz Big Band, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. All right. We're going to take just a couple of minutes to set up for the concert band. Give all these players a chance to rest their chops, as we say, and we'll be right back with you.
much in the cinematic movie-themed spirit, John Williams-esque. Great song. How about a hand for this fantastic song? We are going to slow things down a little and play a piece called Ashokan Farewell. This piece was originally written by a composer who worked up at the, I think it was called the Ashokan, I wrote this down, try not to go for the notes now. Ashokan Fiddle and Banjo Festival or something up in the Catskills in the area of the Ashokan Reservoir. And he wrote this piece as sort of a farewell or a goodbye song for the end of their summer festivities every year. It later became the theme song for the PBS documentary, The Civil War. So you may recognize it if you're familiar with that series. It's a beautiful piece, originally written as a fiddle tune, but works beautifully as a band tune. I'm going to play it for you right now, Ashokan Farewell. I just said to the band downstairs before that I don't remember when it was or what we were doing, but it sounded so great in the band room that they literally almost brought me to tears. And as we were playing that, I remembered it was during that song. So really good.
I would just like to take this opportunity to recognize some of our band members and those band members that will be leaving us this year that are seniors. And I would please ask all the seniors to stand up and be recognized. Seniors, if you wouldn't mind, we're also... We've been together for a long time. You guys can sit, thank you. We've been together for a long time, and I just want to tell them how much I appreciate them as people and as musicians and as ambassadors for our music program here in the school, for sticking with it for all these years, and for making my life and my job such a beautiful thing every day, coming in and making music with them for all these years. So we are going to continue. What do we have? We have another sort of Americana style song. This is called American River Songs, and this takes us back to a time when there was lots of activity on the riverways and transportation and commerce and, on our rivers. Paddle boats, is that right? I'm losing my train of thought here. Anyway, it's made up of some American folk songs and some Creole songs. It's a wonderful medley, and it is entitled, once again, American River Songs, and we'd like to play it for you now.
more piece for you, and I would just like to acknowledge all of these wonderful musicians up here because they really are terrific. Our freshmen came in this year, and the music at the high school level is much more challenging than it was for them in middle school, and they have the bar was raised, and they have met the bar, and they are just doing great. Our sophomores, juniors, all across the board, it's a very special thing for me, and I hope for them to be in a group that, number one, does this and makes music together, but also we have all freshmen through seniors up here, and I consider us all a big family, and to do this, it really is a very personal thing, and I think that we do become close with each other, and I hope that we continue to become even closer. We have a wonderful last song for you. Before we do that, I would just like to remind you of a couple events coming up. We have, next up, May 2nd, concert band is going with the orchestra and a couple of our select choral groups to a music competition festival, Music at the Parks, where we'll be performing in the morning for judges, and then in the afternoon we'll be spending our afternoon at Hershey Park. 3 hours away, yes indeed. It's really worth it. It's a great day. It's as well as musically rewarding. It's a lot of fun. After that, we have our Memorial Day Parade, which is a tradition here in Pleasantville for the high school concert band to march and perform in the Memorial Day Parade. Then we have our concert on the lawn. The date? June 4th. Thank you very much, whoever said that. And that's a really very casual, laid-back setting out in the front circle of the high school. We have a couple of food trucks coming. We bring you lawn chairs, a blanket, and we just have a great night of music, weather pending. Of course, last year, whoever was here, we played our last part of the show soaking wet. It was memorable, to say the least. For our last song, we're so sorry to have to leave you, but we're going to leave you with a swinging selection entitled Ellington. And this is yet all songs of Duke Ellington, who was a pianist, a composer, an arranger, a band leader, and an incredible influence on jazz music from the early 1920s, today and forever on. So this one, 4 or 5 of Duke's songs in this medley, a real challenging piece. Again, these guys have risen to the bar and do a great job playing it, and this is simply titled, once again, Ellington. Thank you so much, and that concludes our concert. Thank you to the Jack Up and Lighting booth. Thanks to our custodians who are here, always working late when we have our concerts. Mr. Fondy is over there. Thank you, Mr. Fondy, for your... Our biggest supporters and loves to come into the band room and pick up a tambourine or a cowbell or something. So thank you again. We will see you very soon, and thank you for your wonderful children. It's really a joy to make music with all of them, and I mean that in a heartfelt, sincere way. So thank you so much, and have a great